welcome back to the channel. On the bench today we've got one of my favorite RCs, the Arrma Kraton. This is the V4 6S BLX version of this vehicle. I can tell you 100 different things that I love about this vehicle, but today I want to touch on something that's kind of a weak point, one of those things we don't talk about for some reason. And that is back here, the rear shock tower. I'm going to do my own homemade hack to try and solve the issue. The newer version of this vehicle, the EXB, and then I think even the V5 that came shortly after the EXB, they both have a different style shock tower in the rear. And so what I think I'm going to do today is I'm actually going to take a spare shock tower that a good friend of mine sent me a little while back. Thanks, Tipster. And I'm going to do some of my own kind of cutting and grinding to see if I can get it to look sort of more like the newer style one. If you have one of these, you know what I'm talking about, I'm sure. I mean, if you've never landed on the rear wing, then kudos, man. But if you have, and you think you didn't do any damage, take a closer look. Because if you have a V4 shock tower, rear shock tower on the back of your Kraton, chances are it's pretty warped. Anyways, I'm going to take one of these stock shock towers, I'm going to cut it down, I'm going to fit it to the vehicle, see if it holds up better than this extremely long rear shock tower. So here it is, and here's what I've done so far on this side. And I've got it scored out on this side, but I wanted to fit it to the vehicle first and make sure that this is going to work this way, because if it doesn't fit, the amount of time it took to do this, I'm not going to bother doing it again. If it fits no problem, nothing is in the way, and the shock connects to it no problem, then I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing to this side. But as you can see, I've drastically shortened the shock tower. I've changed where the shock is going to connect. Hopefully the single point will be okay. I did take some measurements to make sure I had the same amount of material around the hole, so it shouldn't break any easier. Shortening this span up down to this span, it can make a lot of difference in terms of how badly this thing warps. It's science, right? Like, the longer something is, the easier it is to bend, right? Shorten it up, a lot more difficult to bend. So I'm hoping it's going to work. If it doesn't, well, we tend to learn more on failures than successes anyways, right? Stick around. Yes, of course it fit, and I cut and it's ready to go. Otherwise there wouldn't be a video. This is what I cut off. I used the bottom of the lowest hole as a line reference, and then the angle I chose to use was the finishing angle of the original piece. Once that was done, a shock was going to be located lower down here, and so I removed this. So I cut that off, and so that this didn't vibrate against it and start doing damage to the body of the shock, I cut it off there. And I gave it that sort of little edge there, that sort of lip at the end to sort of make it kind of finished look. And I just color it. Oil-based paint pen, a Sharpie. You get a pack of like 5 of them. There's like black, gold, silver, red, and white, I believe it is. And that's it. There's your finished RC Recreation modified shock tower. So there's the original, and the new. I should say the old, the modified. This is actually the spare one that my buddy sent me. Check out Ron's channel, it's pretty awesome. I'll leave a link in the description. Well, this was supposed to be a run video. Ran into a little stroke of bad luck. I went out to the area that I was gonna bash the Kraton, turned it on, I was ready to go, and somehow my GoPro was at 0% battery. So I figured, okay, well, you know what? I'll just run it, make sure that my little hack job worked properly and that the vehicle is performing well. And it did. It performed really, really well. And I had a great bash session. and you're gonna have to take my word for it because I didn't get any footage. So I mentioned I ran into a little stroke of bad luck. Well, I got back home and I thought nothing broke. I got some really good speed. It was a great bash. I had a great time. I had a big smile on my face. I came through the door. Was happy to tell the wife I didn't break anything this time. I put the vehicle down on the bench and I pulled the batteries out, and yeah, somehow I guess my batteries were doing the nasty because one of them got pregnant. That's a huge bulge right there. And this is a hard case battery. I've already taken the end off it, as you can see, and I'm basically going to solder a 12-volt light on the end of this just so it'll drain it down all the way, and then it'll be safe for disposal. But that's the second time a DXF battery has done this to me, and only one of them. The other one is perfectly fine. This battery is not even a year old. I mean, it's just barely a year old. It's not like I treat these batteries badly. I do all my maintenance. I make sure it goes in the storage charge after I'm done. So I'm really not that guy. I'm not the guy that's hard on all his batteries. But for some reason, second time it's happened to me with these DXF batteries. Now, they do come with a really good price point, and their discharge ratings are really, really impressive. 100C or 200C maximum. So, well, I guess you get what you pay for, as they say. I'd like to recommend these batteries. I just don't think I can anymore. Unless DXF reaches out to me and says, hey, you know what, we'd really like to replace that battery for you, considering it's the second time this has happened to you. Bought two identical batteries. They were both the same age. The last two I had, I bought together. They were both the same age, and for some reason, one decided it didn't want to have a good life anymore. And that's happened. Like I said, this is a hard case battery, right? So to see a bulge like that in a hard case battery, that's pretty bad. Anyways, I'm gonna keep it safer in this LipoGuard bag. I want to say thank you for watching. Please give a thumbs up if you like this video, if it helped you with your V4 rear shock tower on your Kraton. Now understand, I cut away at this shock tower fully being aware that I had a backup spare in case I messed it up. So if you don't have a backup spare in case you mess it up, I'm not going to tell you to attempt it. But it worked for me. So take what you want away from that. I guess Kraton runs are going to be 3S from now on, until I get another 2 matching batteries, or at least one close enough to where I feel it's safe to run with the other battery on 6S. What are you going to do? That's the RC life. Fix, run, break, repeat. As always, keep on RCing, keep on keeping on. Ciao for now.